This video may challenge your existing understanding. Empiricism holds that there is no solitary little person inside the brain controlling our conscious world. On the contrary, consciousness is closely related to perception, is embodied, and cannot exist independently without a specific brain and body. It relies on the interaction between the individual and the surrounding environment. That is, perception gives rise to self. Specifically, empiricism holds that there is no solitary little person inside the brain controlling our conscious world, and the so-called self is merely a collection of perceptions formed by habits. That is, bodily sensations are perceived as a whole, and this overall perception gives rise to the self. Consciousness is closely related to perception, and the location of perception determines the subject. For example, when you break a precious item and feel distressed, you may believe that the heart is the subject of consciousness. When you miss someone and feel a stomachache, you may believe that the stomach is the subject of consciousness. The philosopher Daniel Dennett, who put forward this viewpoint, designed a thought experiment of brainless body in Where Am I? The brain is removed from the skull and placed in a culture medium. Note that only the internal brain is removed, not the entire head including eyes and ears. And the neural connection between the brain in the tank and the empty cranial cavity is maintained wirelessly. This experiment raises questions about the spatial location of the conscious self. If one supports the Cartesian theater model and opposes Dennett's model, then I will be located at the position of the brain in the tank. Conversely, if one opposes the Cartesian theater model and supports Dennett's model, then I will be located at the position of the cranial cavity of the brainless body, provided that the body's sensory functions are not lost, because audiovisual content, especially visual content, occupies the vast majority of the content of consciousness. Consciousness is embodied and cannot exist independently from a specific brain and body. It relies on the interaction between the individual and the surrounding environment. Therefore, consciousness is subjective and private. Describing consciousness does not equate to generating and experiencing consciousness itself. The brain is not a computer or Turing machine in the traditional sense, but a selection system rather than an instruction system. Its work does not primarily rely on logic, which enables the brain to create, whereas traditional computers cannot. Daniel Dennett further proposed the multiple drafts model to explain consciousness. There are multiple narrative scripts being written in parallel in the human mind which compete with each other, and the script that ultimately prevails becomes the content of consciousness at that moment. Similarly, in his book, The Strange Order of Things, Damasio criticizes the prevalent notion that equates life with algorithms. He argues that feelings are intimately connected to the body and cannot exist independently of it. Therefore, even if artificial intelligence or robots possess intelligence, they cannot possess mind, consciousness, or humanity. Damasio believes that without the body, feelings cannot arise, without feelings, mind cannot form, and without mind, there can be no culture. I am Wu Huayu, a PhD from the Chinese Academy of Sciences and a postdoctoral fellow from Peking University, and the founder of AI Philosophy. In addition to this short video, you can also click on my avatar to view more long videos.